daddy, daddy, or something ridiculous. I
couldn't say that with a straight face, otherwise I would have done voices.
You daddy girl. You daddy girl. Okay, so I'm going to read another Red Riding Hood because I liked that one. Ooh, and this next one is by Charles Perrault, who's my second least favorite fairy tale author ever. The first one being Basile, because Basile is a buffoon, and Perrault is a puckerdanus. I don't know any insulting words that start with a P. Peon, yeah, but that's like a word he'd use, so I'd rather... He's very polite. He's very, like, aristocratic. Let's put a moral on every fairy tale that doesn't deserve one.
Insults that begin with P?
Start me a master list of insults that begin with the letter P. Do it. Okay, well, I read Charles Perrault's Little Red Riding Hood. Once upon a time, there was a village girl, the prettiest you can imagine. Her mother adored her. Her grandmother adored her even more and made a little red hood for her. I can see where this is going. The hood suited the child so much that everywhere she went, she was known by the name Little Red Riding Hood. One day, her mother baked some cakes and said to her, "I want you to go and see how your grandmother is faring, for I've heard that she's ill. Take her some cakes and this little pot of butter." Little pot of fat ass. Little Red Riding Hood left right away for her grandmother's house, which was in another village. As she was walking through the woods, she met old Neighbor Wolf. Neighbor Wolf is capitalized, capital N, capital W, like Neighbor Wolf, who wanted to eat her right there on the spot. Okay, this is already talking about sexual predators. Yeah, I mean, clearly this is a metaphor for, like, creepy stranger danger. So, he wants to eat her right there on the spot. That's not obvious at all. But he didn't dare because some woodcutters were in the forest, and we all know how scary those woodcutters can be. He asked where she was going. The poor child, who did not know that it was dangerous to stop and listen to wolves because apparently she's a massive idiot, said, "I'm going to go see my grandmother, and I'm taking her some cakes and a little pot of butter sent by my mother." "Do you live very far away?" said the wolf. "Oh, yes," said Little Red Riding Hood. "She lives beyond the mill that you can see over there. Hers is the first house you come to in the village." Give him directions to where he's going to kill, eat, and then presumably rape Little Red, since that's the direction this is going. So she lives beyond the mill. Hers is the first house you come to in the village if you want exact directions as to where I'm going so you can eat me later. Double entendre. "Well, well," said the wolf, "I think I shall go and see her too. I'll take the path over here, and you take the path over there, and we'll see who gets there first."
Wait, what?
He's challenged her to a race or something. I don't know.
But
He's challenged her to a race. It's better than the path of needles and pins, okay?
okay.
This one doesn't have drug references. It just has pedophiles, apparently. So, the wolf ran as fast as he could on the shorter path, that devious bastard, and the little girl continued on her way along the longer path. She had a good time gathering nuts, chasing butterflies, and picking bunches of flowers. Okay. The wolf did not take long to get to grandmother's house. He knocked. Rat-a-tat-tat. That's an onomatopoeia they spelled out for me. Rat-a-tat-tat. They were real specific. "Who's there?" "It's your granddaughter, Little Red Riding Hood," said the wolf, disguising his voice. "And I'm bringing you some cake and a little pot of butter sent by my mother." The dear grandmother, who was in bed because she was not feeling well, called out, "Pull the bolt and the latch will open." The wolf pulled the bolt. The wolf pulled the bolt, and the door opened wide. He threw himself on the good woman and devoured her in no time, for he had eaten nothing in the last 3 days. Then he closed the door and lay down on grandmother's bed, waiting for Little Red Riding Hood, who before long came knocking at the door. Rat-a-tat-tat. "Who's there?" Little Red Riding Hood was afraid when she heard the gruff voice of the wolf, but thinking her grandmother must have caught cold, she said, "It's your granddaughter, Little Red Riding Hood, and I'm bringing you some cake and a little pot of butter sent by my mother." I'm getting really tired of that.
Basically, Little Red Dumbass.
Yeah, Little Red Dumbass! Yeah, that's what she is. The wolf tried to soften his voice as he called out to her, "Pull the bolt and the latch will open." That was not a softening, that was like a Russianing. I don't understand anything anymore. Little Red Riding Hood pulled the bolt, and the door opened wide. When the wolf saw her come in, he hid under the covers of the bed and said, "Put the cakes and a little pot of butter on the bin and climb into bed with me." Little Red Riding Hood took off her clothes and climbed into the bed. She was astonished to see what her grandmother looked like in her nightgown. Grandmother, she said, what big arms you have! Better to hug you with, my child. What big legs you have! Better to run. Big ears! Better to hear with. Big eyes! Better to see with. What big teeth you have! The better to eat you up! Upon saying these words, the wicked wolf threw himself on Little Red Riding Hood and gobbled her up. And then it jumps straight to the moral, so I'm presuming that she's really dead. The moral of this story is, apparently, spoken in verse, so this is going to be really embarrassing. From this story, one learns that children, especially young girls, pretty, well-bred, and genteel, are wrong to listen to just anyone, and it's not at all strange if a wolf ends up eating them. I say a wolf, but not all wolves are exactly the same. Some are perfectly charming, not loud, brutal, or angry, but tame, pleasant, and gentle, following young ladies into their homes, into their chambers. Watch out if you haven't learned that tame wolves are the most dangerous of all. So basically, yes, that moral does point out the fact that you are going to be molested by your neighbors. That's what that means. Apparently, that's the given moral here, is that we can't... The tame wolves, does that mean like married men or something? I don't like this. I really don't like this. The more I read, the less I like fairy tales. I've read 2 right now. And I'm beginning to hate everything.
Don't hate everything.
I hate everyone upon this cursed earth.
What's that from?
Say Anything song called Hate Everyone.
Okay.
Can you guess what it's about?
Hating everyone?
No, it's very subtle. I don't think you'd get it.